Howdy folks, it's gonna get spooky because today we're gonna be talking about the horrors of 1990s NASCAR diecast. Yes, these things. The good, the bad, and quite frankly, the ugly. Howdy folks, it is Diecastbuffet here again, and well, today we're going to have probably a controversial video because a lot of people seem to like the 1990s era of diecast collecting, but today's video might be a little contrarian on that. And we're going to be talking about why the 90s era of NASCAR diecast was one of possibly the best or the worst eras in the diecast collecting history. There is a very large amount of diecast to choose from in terms of manufacturers in those years. So I'm not going to be able to show all of them on camera. Pick some of the select ones, maybe some of the better ones, some of the worst ones, and we're going to be talking about that. So let's go ahead and turn the camera around and we'll get right into it. Alrighty folks, so we have multiple diecasts here in the studio. We have 5 to be exact. I'm not good at math, but hopefully you are. We have 3 Winter Circle diecasts. This is a 1999 Tony Stewart Home Depot Chevrolet, no I'm kidding, Pontiac, back in the good old days. 1998 Busch Series Pontiac for Mr. Tony Stewart right there. You've got the Winter Circle hat, that's pretty cool. We have a 1999 Dale Earnhardt Winter Circle diecast. Over here we have a 97 David Green, and we have, I believe this is a 1999 Jeff Burton. So the reason why I picked these diecasts specifically more than any other ones is because the contrast, the accuracy, and the realism between the molds could not be further apart. I mean, it is embarrassingly how bad of it. And we're going to just start off right off the rip. The 1990s had so many different diecast manufacturers. This one is actually a Matchbox one. No, I'm not kidding. This was a Matchbox diecast that you could get for David Green. I like the artwork. I think the artwork looks fantastic, but what is up with this car here? I mean, it's got literally balloon tires on it. A red window net. What the biff? So the first one we're going to compare is the 1999 Winter Circle cars. Now, I'll admit the card back is very retro, very vintage. I like the colors to it. You know, it's nice having the driver photo. Very nice, very sleek. These are very common to find nowadays. You can see the back of it even got some more color and some contrast. 1,000 words right here, so you pretty much got a dictionary on the back end of it. But the main thing, the reason why I pulled this car out of my stockpile, so to speak, is I wanted to show both diecast molds here. The top is a 1999 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. The bottom is obviously a Pontiac Grand Prix. And the reason why this is relevant is the molds are fantastically accurate. And in fact, they use this Pontiac mold all the way up to 2002, right? This is 1999, so this was probably manufactured late 1998, because this is the time when every driver's car was ready before the Daytona 500. This Dale Earnhardt, probably the same thing. This was probably one of the first cars to be produced. Dale Earnhardt literally was the diecast industry in the mid-90s. But you might be thinking, why do you say the NASCAR diecast era of the 90s was one of the worst? And here's why. There was a lot of quirky, bulky, unrealistic molds like this. Check out this Pontiac Grand Prix. I mean, I don't know if you could see this or not, but look how bulky this freaking 44 car is. This is 1 year before. Look at the front ends. I mean, it might be hard to see in the package, but I mean, we're talking a very chunky Pontiac mold, guys. It's an awesome paint scheme, don't get me wrong, but I mean, look at the back ends of it. I mean, this one, it looks like a Ford Taurus back end with how smooth it is. And then you look at the Pontiac down here, and it's much more rigid, pun intended. And it just has the grooves and the detail that you would see on a late 90s Pontiac, because this is back when car manufacturers, believe it or not, would base their production model off the racetrack. It wasn't the other way around. They made their production car like a 1998 Ford Taurus, very cylinder, bullet-like, so that way they could get away with winning on the racetrack. Nowadays, it's the other way around. They try to base it off the production car. But just 1 year removed, how crazy the molds are. This thing
is fantastic. This is a industry standard Pontiac mold, the most realistic one ever made for the 98 to 2002 Pontiac. I don't know what the fudge this thing is. Let's go ahead and keep continuing here. So, this is a Chevrolet Monte Carlo 1997 Matchbox. What in the is going on with the wheels here? I mean, we're talking dumps, like dump truck wheels on this thing. Let's go ahead and open it up here, guys. I don't want to tear this package open. This is the only one I've really seen with this style packaging. So I don't know if this was a promo. I don't know what the biff you had to do. Let's see if I can get this car out of the box. There we go. Go ahead and get this thing out of the box. Look at this freaking car. What the biff is this, guys? I mean, like, what in the world is going on with this diecast? Look how bulky it is. Look at the bottom of the car. Look how cheap that looks. That's what I'm talking about. The whole red interior, some of the cars actually did have painted interiors. That was allowed. And the reason why they did so, a little bit of a Larry McNugget, is because you could paint your car different colors and it would hide welding spots. Welding spots is obviously how you get away with lightening certain portions of the car and making some portions heavier. Now this is the Monte Carlo in 97 to 99 did not change too much. It is pretty similar. Every year they made the cars more cylinder and smoother because they pushed the limits. You don't believe me? Look at a 03 Monte Carlo and look at a 07 Monte Carlo. They're not even the same looking car. I mean, look at this. This looks like a freaking car that would run over this Earnhardt car. I mean, look how big the wheels are. Who in their right mind would say this is a accurate and realistic scaled car? My point is that this would be great for an actual toy, but this is a collector's piece. If you're building a diecast, you know, a custom whatever, are you really going to take all your time and your effort on a diecast mold like this, or are you going to go get one of these? That's my point. The 90s, it was hit or miss. You know, you could get a Rusty Wallace diecast and it being a fantastic diecast mold. But if you're a David Green fan, well, you're crap out of luck. That's how crazy the 90s diecast era was. And don't even get me started on the Racing Champions ones. Holy sheesh. So not only do they have the funkiest looking front end on any Ford Taurus I have ever seen. I mean, it does look somewhat like the Super Speedway versions, but look at the bottom splitter on this thing. Holy cow. I mean, it's a snowplow. I mean, look at this thing. Look at the, like, check this out. Look at the front splitter on that thing, how far it reaches down. That is insane. It is a snowplow. You need a reference. It's probably like half the size of the Earnhardt front splitter, which these technically weren't splitters. They call them front valences, air dams, etc. So my point is, you have a very funky front end. I would say this is closer to a Super Speedway style nose and tail. You have gargantuan size wheels. I mean, look at the comparison of the wheels. I mean, it looks so unrealistic. I like the window detail. Obviously, it didn't stand up to the test of time because these things rubbed off very much, even the 2000s models. But then let's compare it to the monster truck over here, the bona fide Caterpillar. What is it? Cat skid steer loader, as the great Wood Burton would say. I think the wheels on this freaking Caterpillar car are larger than this. I mean, it's ridiculous. and if this ain't enough, guys, they have overproduced the 90s cars so much that you could probably buy every single one of them online and throw them in the ocean, and there would still be thousands of them in circulation. I'm not kidding you. Everywhere you go, you see thousands upon thousands of 90s mint in the package. Diecast just like this. Everywhere. They overproduce these things so badly that they're going to be sitting around when we're old and gray. Okay? So if you feel bad about opening these things, trust me, there's plenty more of them out there. Open them up. Now, there might be a few quirky ones that are more rare, you know, maybe some exclusive promos, but like these things, they made thousands and thousands of these things. We're probably never going to run out of these freaking things. My point is, my bugaboo with the 90s cars is that if you wanted to get a full field of cars, if you wanted to get a Dale Earnhardt diecast and a Jeff Burton diecast, these cars don't look good racing against each other because they're two completely different diecast molds. Meanwhile, when we go to perhaps maybe the COT era, and bar a little dust here, It doesn't matter who you got. They're all the same mold. Yes, same manufacturer minus the Contender series. But my point is, my biggest bugaboo and why I do not like 90s diecast is the absolute wackiness of half of the diecast that got produced. I love the packaging. I love the availability. But I mean, the cars are so unrealistic. And if these look bad, you should see some of the early 90s, late 80s diecast. I'm not even kidding you. I know if you grew up with these cars, you're going to love them to death. Trust me, I've had 90s diecast in my collection. My point is, and why I'm harping on this, is the diecast molds were so wacky. It drove me nuts. Which thankfully, in the year 2000 and year 2001, we started to see a significant jump in quality. And I'll show just a couple of examples here from different manufacturers. All right, so I have 3 diecasts here, guys, that are from 3 different manufacturers that were from 2003 and 2004. The first car I'm going to show here is a 03 Jeremy Mayfield. Now, check out the packaging. Significantly better than the late 90s. That's expected. You know, printers, artists, everything, the whole industry just gets better, right? That's an 03 Dodge Intrepid driven by Mayfield, the swan song of the Winston Cup era. This is another great diecast. This is a 03 Matt Kenseth. Completely different diecast mold, completely different diecast packaging. The packaging for the Hot Wheels ones, this is how different the packaging was in the 2000s. Nothing. I mean, they literally took all the color and contrast and threw it in the dumpster. However, the front of the cards look fantastic. These cards are much thinner as well. These are double wax coated, both sides of them. Not as flashy, but definitely higher quality. Going to have significantly less shelf wear. And this is the budget line that a lot of people, myself included, had a buttload of these things. This is a 04 Terry Labonte Kellogg's car. Now, you can see significantly the package is obviously worn. These were the cheaper ones you would get at like a Family Dollar or whatnot. They were really cheap, like $2.50 a pop. My point is this is 3 different manufacturers of diecast. 3 different diecast molds, okay? And 3 different manufacturers of cars. Yet, you can put these cars together and they don't look ridiculous. You could put both of these cars in a diecast stop motion and they look just alike. You could put this car in a diecast stop motion and they look just alike. This thing has not only window bar detail like the 5 car, but this one has rubber tires as well. This one doesn't have rubber tires and it has no window bar printed detail. All 3 of these diecast manufacturers, you could put this in a stop motion, you could hang it up in your collection, and they look all good. Back over here to these 90s diecast, and they could not be more different than each other. I mean, that's my bugaboo. And these things are so overproduced that nowhere, wherever you go, it don't matter if it's the gypsy tents at the racetrack, it don't matter if you go online, you're going to see thousands and thousands and thousands of racing champions in Winter Circle diecast. And the sad reality of it is, brother, is that there is nowhere near enough collectors to fit the supply and demand for these diecasts from an era gone by. Right? That's the sad reality. The people that want this diecast already bought this diecast. And the people that are going to want this diecast in the future is going to be very limited. Meaning these things are just going to float around until they fall apart, which is probably like in 80 years. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves is the absolute ridiculous amount of 90s diecasts that are floating around. It's annoying. You know, you want to buy something and there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them out there. Like, let's make sure every freaking diecast planet Earth is freaking 90s diecast that nobody wants. I know I'm kind of ranting today, guys. Look, I love the great quality stuff. I don't love the goofy, wacky ones. And that's another aspect, and I'll end this video on a silver lining. The wackiness of the 90s diecast era was necessary to make the 2000s era diecast golden. They had to go through the wackiness because for the newer fan out there to educate, the diecast industry really started with this man. He took it to the next level. Dale Earnhardt, they took his diecast, his merchandise, the whole industry, and they revolutionized it. technically NASCAR diecasts were made in the 60s, or not 60s, but I think the 70s and the 80s. Now, it might have been obscure promos, might have been just random cheap tin cars. I don't know. I've seen some random stuff out there. But in the early 90s and late 80s, diecast started to get made. The quality was crap. But when this man really started taking off, you know, doing his all-star diecast, the whole industry skyrocketed. You take the boom of the NASCAR industry, and that's why we have so many overproduced ones. But the wackiness, the craziness of seeing freaking Matchbox diecast. Does that look like the car right there on the front? Does that look how small the wheels are on that Monte Carlo? Does that really look like it? I mean, come on. Look at the comparison. Oh my gosh. But yeah, my point is, guys, it was a necessary growing pain for the diecast industry. But we're gonna be stuck with these cars for like 100 years. They made so many of them. You could take all of them, throw them on a boat, and sink it, and there'd still be plenty of them. Enough of me ranting, guys. I want to know what y'all think about this stuff, guys. It's certainly a really quirky era of NASCAR diecast. It's obviously a million times better than what we get nowadays in terms of quality and selection. But in some cases, it's worse because nowadays you get the same diecast mode for everything except the Authentics line. Back then, you really don't know what you're going to get. It was the Wild West of the NASCAR era.
Alrighty, folks. So what do y'all think about these crazy things? I mean, if you like it, I respect it. But to me, I don't collect these things. I don't. The wacky molds and stuff, I have a few of them in my collection, but the 2000 stuff is what I really love. That's what I truly grew up with. But man, when I look back at these 90s diecasts, some of them were laughable how bad they were. I mean, I saw, what is it? I think it was a Mark Martin 1992 or 93 Matchbox car. I couldn't believe how bad the decals are on it. I'm telling you, it is literally hit or miss with the 90s stuff. The late 90s stuff was really dope, though. The Tony Stewarts, the Rusty Wallaces, Jeremy Mayfields, the Dale Jarretts, they started really making the diecast molds better. And to clarify, I'm not talking about the Elite 164s. I'm talking about usually the retail line stuff. That's what I usually focus on because, obviously, if you have an Elite 164, it's going to have a buttload of detail. But that's a story for a different day. What do y'all think about it? And what do you think is the weirdest era in NASCAR diecast history? To me, I think it's the 90s. I think the quality was crap for half the stuff. There was some good gems here and there. But the good news about it is that they made so much of it that you literally you could buy whatever you want from that era, open it up, and it's not going to hurt the collectability of it. There's so much crap floating out there. There's people with hundreds of these things sitting in a room and they can't get rid of them because nobody wants them. Let's just face it. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to give the video a huge thumbs up. And for all you new diecast collectors, you like the new stuff, I do too. Make sure to go over to Circle B Diecast. Use that promo code Diecastbuffet. Save on shipping, fellas. Make sure to check that out. And yeah, we're in the video here, guys. I don't want to make anyone upset, but that's just my honest opinion about it. And if you'd like to see more videos about this where I talk about different eras of NASCAR diecast, make sure to comment down below, fellas. I love talking about this stuff, very passionate about it. And that's all for now. Diecastbuffet, signing off.